Hello everyone, let's implement the case study. So what I'll do is I'll draw a box here for each step, and once the box is drawn, I'll go to the AWS console and take that action. Now the steps here are the actual implementation steps, and these are the things that we have to do if you have to implement the case study. So the first thing is that create VPC. I'll be creating one VPC with one public subnet and three private subnets instead of two. The reason is that we'll be creating AWS RDS, which needs a subnet group. And for subnet group, we need subnets from two different AZs. And as the AWS RDS instance would be in a private subnet, so that's why I'll be creating three private subnets. So I'm in the VPC console. The first thing is that we have to create the VPC. This is the name of the VPC along with the CIDR. It's a simple CIDR 10.20.0.0/16. Now I'll filter the VPC with this one. I'll have to refresh the page. And this is the VPC which you have just created. Now let us go ahead and create one public subnet and three private subnets. So basically right now I'll just be creating the subnets. Once I create the route tables, then those subnets would become either public or private. Will be created in the VPC. AZ would be 1A, that's why I have named it as 1A. This is the CIDR block 10.20.1.0/24. And let me go ahead and create the other three private subnets. The CIDR block of this private subnet will be 10.20.2.0. So I've created the other two subnets, and these are my subnets in four different AZs. Three private subnets in AZ 1A, 1B, and 1C, and one public subnet is in AZ 1A. And these are the CIDR blocks 10.20.1.2.3.4/24. Now I'll have to create the internet gateway also and attach this internet gateway with the VPC. Internet gateway has been attached. Now let us go ahead and create the route tables. And this is a public route table, so it should have a route to the internet. So now I'll have to add routes so that as it is a public subnet, it should have a route to the internet. And this is a route, it should be, the target should be internet gateway. And then once it is done, I'll have to associate this route with the public subnet. This should be associated with the public subnet. Rest 3 are supposed to be private subnets, so these should not be associated with this subnet. Click on save, and that's all. This subnet has been associated with the public route table. Then the second one is the private route table in the same VPC, and we don't have to do anything. We'll not have to create any routes for this one because we do not need any internet route. But yes, we need subnet associations. So this private route table should be associated with all the other private subnets, which are these three: subnet in AZB, subnet in AZ1B, 1C, and 1D. So this private route table is associated with three subnets, and the public route table is associated with one subnet, and the public route table has only route to internet via this internet gateway. We'll need a NAT gateway also because we'll install all the softwares needed for the application, and as the application would be in a private subnet, it will not have any connectivity with the internet. So we'll use the NAT gateway to do the same. But we'll create this NAT gateway later on when we set up the application. So the VPC setup is done, and the next step is to create the firewalls. So we'll use security groups and network ACLs to create the firewalls. And what we'll do is we'll keep it on the mellow side. We'll not complicate things further. We'll create one security group, and this security group would be for EC2 instances launched in the private subnet. Has to be associated with our VPC. On the inbound rule, will allow all TCP traffic from the VPC. We could have given individual subnets like 10.20.1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. But what I'll do is I'll set up the entire VPC. Now, this security group will allow all traffic within the VPC. It can be anything. This is not what you should do because you should restrict the firewall rules. So this security group will be for the RDS DB instance. So this is the DB security group. In the inbound rule, I'll allow traffic only from the application subnet, which is the second one. Let's say MySQL Aurora only from 10.20.2.0/24, and that's it. Similarly, we'll create a security group for the application subnet for the EC2 instance where the application would be put. So this is the security group, and here in the inbound rule, I should allow traffic from, let's say, port 80 to 10,000 from the private subnet only, which is 10.20.1.0/24. And in the outbound rule, I should allow traffic, let's say all traffic, to the database subnet. This is one, and there will be one more. Okay, the security groups are done, and then we'll have to create the security group for the web tier or for the public subnet. And this security group would be for the EC2 instances which are launched in the public subnet, and it will have all traffic allowed. So the security groups are done. Let us go ahead and create the network ACLs. In the inbound rule, will allow SQL traffic from the application subnet. And in the outbound rule, I'll have to allow the response also. Two more rules so that the subnets can talk to each other, the subnet 3 and 4. Will allow all TCP from 10.20.2.0, 10.20.3.0, and 10.20.4.0. Similarly, I have allowed all traffic in the outbound rule also. I'll have to associate this subnet with the DB subnets, which are the private subnet 1C and 1D, 3 and 4. So associate this network ACL with these two subnets. And that's done. Now you have to create the subnet for application tier. And now let us go ahead and create the rules. To keep things simple, I'm allowing all traffic within the VPC. And same is the case with the outbound rule also. And finally, the network ACL for the public subnet herein will allow each and every rule. So I've allowed all rules for inbound and outbound and associate this with the public subnet. And the same thing has to be done for app subnet also. I forgot to do that. So it will be associated with 2, which is the app subnet. And we'll see if anything fails. We'll come back to this again to see if any firewall rules have any problem or not. So these two steps are done. We have created the VPC with one public subnet and 3 private subnets. We have also set up firewall rules using security groups and network ACLs. The route tables have been created. Internet gateway has also been created and attached to the VPC. The next step is to create a Bastion host which will be launched in the public subnet. This is very much needed so that we can jump to the EC2 instances in the private subnet. So I'll launch a Bastion host with public IP address and also with a key pair, and the Bastion host and the EC2 instances or application EC2 instance in the private subnet will be launched with the same key pair. By the way, Bastion host is also called as Jumpbox. I'm in the EC2 console. I'll be launching this EC2 instance in the public subnet with Amazon Linux AMI. T2.micro should suffice in the VPC which you have just created, and definitely in the public subnet. The name would be AWS Foundation Bastion host. And security group, of course, the public subnet security group. Launch the EC2 instance with a new key pair. So the EC2 instance has been launched with this public IP, and I should be able to SSH into it because it has public access. And this is the key pair, AWS Foundation case study key pair, and I should be able to SSH using this key pair. And there you go. It's working and perfectly fine. So we have the Bastion host ready. So now we can forward to our next step. As the Bastion host setup is done, our next step would be to create an S3 bucket. Basically create two S3 buckets. One would be to store the images, and that will be done by the application. And the other bucket would be for hosting static website. Let us go ahead and create those two buckets. Alright, so let me create two buckets. The first one would be an empty bucket. Let's name it as AWS Foundation bucket in US East region. I do not want to give any public access to this bucket. I want to access this bucket only through the application which will be launched in the EC2 instance. Rest of the things are fine, and go ahead and create the bucket. So this is an empty bucket, and this bucket will be used to upload the images by the employees. Now I'll create one more bucket for a static website or static web page, which will contain the About Us page. So this is the bucket, AWS Foundation About Us web page. But this bucket should have public access because it will be accessed from the browser. And the next thing which you have to do is you have to enable a static website hosting on this bucket. Click on this bucket and go to the properties and then static website hosting. And we're going to use this bucket to host a static website. The index page would be about us.html. I don't want to give any error HTML page. Click on save, and this will be the endpoint. And let me go ahead and upload that about us.html page. It will be created in the standard storage class, and I want to give public read access for this bucket because it is a web page and everyone and anyone can read this web page. Alright, uploading is done. Let me go ahead and see if it is working or not. So this is the page I was looking for. So this About Us page says, hello all, welcome to the case study module of AWS Foundation. And this is a static web page hosted on AWS S3. When you press go back, it should take me to the main page or the home page, which will not work right now because I do not have that application up and running. So it is giving you error that the site can't be reached, of course, because I do not have anything up and running there. So both the buckets have been created, and this step is done to create an S3 bucket to store images and a static website hosting. The next step would be to create an RD instance. We'll have to connect to it and create an employee table, and we'll have to create an employee database also. Now I'm in the RDS console. Now let us go ahead and create a database. We'll be using MySQL, and of course it will be dev test. Click on next. But before creating the database itself, we'll have to create a subnet group. So let me cancel it and go ahead and create a subnet group. This is the name of the subnet group, AWS Foundation RDS subnet group, and it will be created in the VPC which you have just created, and we'll add only the two subnets in C and in D because that's where we're going to have our databases created. Click on create. So the subnet group has been created. Let me go ahead and create the database. I'll choose MySQL engine. The use case would be dev test, of course. I'll keep the version as is. I'll definitely not need anything more than db.t2.micro, and it is case study demo, so we do not need multi-AZ deployment. Storage type would be general purpose SSD. That should be more than enough, and storage is also sufficient for this demo. And this is the name of the instance, AWS Foundation RDS. Master username would be root only, and provide the master username password. The VPC would be our VPC, not the default one. And subnet group, of course, we have. It is not publicly accessible. Even if we make it publicly accessible, we cannot access it as the database should be created only in private subnets. AZ can be either C or D, so no preference, but let's select C. And we'll select an existing security group. I'll remove the default and we'll select that security group for DB. Database name would be employee. Port would be default, and rest of the things are as is. I do not want any backup retention. I'll keep rest of the things and then create database. So the instance is being created. So the database has been created. Now I'll have to connect to this database or connect to this instance and create the table employee. Now one thing is that as this database is or this instance is not publicly accessible, I'll have to use the Bastion host to connect to this database. So to do that, I'll have to change the security group a little bit, and in the inbound rule I'll have to allow traffic from the Bastion host, which is in the public subnet. So let me go ahead and change it. I'll allow the same thing but from the public subnet. And similarly, I think I don't have to change the network ACL, but let's go ahead and take a look. All right, I'll have to change, make some change in the network ACL also. Let's add all TCP from the public subnet. I have to make sure that the outbound rule is also there. Now let us log in to the Bastion host and try to connect to the RDS database instance from there. And this is the Bastion host. Well, I'm inside of the Bastion host. Let's see if MySQL is installed or not. Okay, it's not there, so I'll have to install MySQL first. Now I should be able to connect to the RDS database instance. This is the host endpoint and this is the port. User is root, and then should prompt me for the password. And there you go, I'm connected to the RDS database instance. These are the database available. We have already created this employee database. So I'll connect to this employee database and then create a table. Well, this is the table employee. The name of the table would also be employee, and with all these columns: employee ID, first name, last name, primary skill, and location. If you do a describe employee, it will show you the structure of the table. Now I am back to my personal laptop, and let's see whether I'm able to connect to the MySQL database instance or the RDSDB instance from my laptop or not. Notice here that I'm not able to connect to the RDSDB instance from my personal laptop because of course that is not publicly accessible. As the work is done, let us go ahead and change the network ACL and security group back to normal, because we don't even want Bastion host to be able to connect to the RDSDB instance as of now. So I'll change this database security group wherein I had added this public subnet. So I'll remove it. And same is the case with network ACL. Let me go ahead and remove the stateless firewall rules for public subnet. Inbound is done, and I'll change this outbound as well. Both are done. Now let me go ahead and try to connect to the database instance from the Bastion host again. I'm inside of the Bastion host, and let's see whether I can connect to the database or not. This time I should not be able to connect because of the firewall rules which have been removed. So as you can see, I'm not able to connect. So we're all good till here. The next step would be to create a DynamoDB table, and this table would be used to host the S3 metadata. It'll be a very simple table with two columns. One would be employee ID and the other one would be image underscore URL. So I'm in DynamoDB console. The only thing that I have to do is to create the table, and the name of the table would be employee underscore image underscore table with the partition key employee ID whose type would be number. I do not need any sort key, and I can use the default settings because it will not be heavily used. So we're fine with this. It will not create any secondary index. It will only provision RCU and WCU with 5 each and basic alarms with 80% upper threshold using the SNS topic DynamoDB. Click on create, and that should be all. We do not want to create any schema as of now because that will be done during the application processing. We have already mentioned the primary key. That's all we need. We do not need any additional column as of now. The additional columns will be used or created during the application runtime. So this is also done. We have created DynamoDB table to host S3 metadata. So I've done a fair amount of job, and let's proceed with the next step, which is to set up domain name.